My name is Elena. I come from a small town in Ukraine where the winters are long and the dreams are sometimes short. I am 27 years old, and just a few years ago, I could not speak a single sentence in English without trembling. Not because I didn't know the words, but because I didn't believe in myself. I was an ordinary girl with extraordinary dreams. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to speak confidently with people from different countries. I wanted to work in a big international company. But every time I opened my mouth to speak English, I felt fear, the fear of being judged, the fear of being wrong, the fear of sounding foolish. It all started when I was in school. English was taught, yes, but it was more about grammar rules, not about real speaking. I knew how to write "he goes to school" and "she is a doctor," but when I met a tourist in our town and he asked, "Can you help me find the station?" I froze. I just stood there, silent, and after he walked away, I felt tears in my eyes, not because he left, but because I couldn't reply. I couldn't speak. I remember going home that day and looking in the mirror. I whispered to myself, one day, I will speak English fluently. One day, I will not be afraid, but wishing is not enough. Dreams need action. After school, I got a job in a small bakery. I served bread, cakes, and coffee. One day, a foreign couple came in. They smiled and said something in English. Again, I didn't understand. I gave them the wrong item. They laughed kindly, but inside, I was broken. That night, I made a promise, a serious one. I wrote in my journal, I will learn to speak English. I don't care how long it takes. I will not give up. And that's where everything began. I didn't have money for big courses or private tutors, but I had something more powerful, a reason, a purpose, a fire inside me that would not stop burning. I started by watching YouTube videos just like this one. At first, I watched with subtitles. Then, I started writing down new words. I spoke to myself in the mirror every morning. I said things like, "Good morning. How are you today? My name is Elena. I work in a bakery. I want to learn English." Simple sentences. Daily practice. I also created a notebook. I called it my English speaking diary. Every day, I wrote 3 sentences about my day in English. Today, I woke up at 6 a.m. I made tea and watched the sunrise. I talked to my mother about our weekend plans. Then, I spoke those sentences out loud, again and again, until they felt natural in my mouth. In the beginning, I sounded strange even to myself, but I kept going. I didn't care how I sounded. I just wanted to speak. One night, I saw a video titled, "How to Speak English Fluently." I clicked it. The speaker said something that changed my life forever. He said, "Fluency is not about knowing every word. It's about speaking without fear." I paused the video. I repeated that sentence. Speaking without fear, that was my real problem. Not lack of grammar, not lack of vocabulary, but fear. From that day on, I stopped waiting to be perfect. I gave myself permission to make mistakes. I told myself, you will make 100 mistakes, maybe more, but each mistake will make you better. I started talking to tourists. I smiled and said, "Hello, welcome to our town." Some were surprised. Some spoke slowly with me. Some even corrected me gently. I thanked them, and for the first time, I felt proud, not because I was perfect, but because I was brave. Then I found a language partner online. Her name was Priya. She was from India, and she wanted to improve her Ukrainian. We did video calls twice a week. First, we spoke in English, then in Ukrainian. Sometimes we laughed, sometimes we struggled, but we always supported each other. That friendship helped me more than any textbook ever could. One day, after 6 months of daily practice, something incredible happened. A customer came into the bakery. He looked lost. He asked, "Excuse me, do you know where the nearest ATM is?" And just like that, I answered smoothly, "Yes, it's just around the corner, next to the pharmacy." His eyes lit up. "Wow, your English is really good," I smiled. But inside, I was crying. Not tears of pain, tears of victory, because I remembered the girl who couldn't say a word, and now she could help a stranger with confidence. From that day, I kept growing. I started reading short English books. I listened to English podcasts while walking. I practiced shadowing listening to a sentence and repeating it immediately after. It trained my tongue and brain to work together. I stopped saying, "I'm trying to learn English," and started saying, "I'm learning English every day." Words are powerful. I want to tell you something. Yes, you the one watching or listening. If you are afraid to speak, I understand. If you feel shy or stuck, I understand. But I promise you fluency is possible. You don't need to move to another country. You don't need to be rich. You just need one thing: commitment. Speak every day, even if only for 5 minutes. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Record your voice and listen back. Watch English movies with subtitles, then without. Repeat what you hear. Imitate the rhythm. Don't just learn English. Live English. Make it part of your day. Name the things around you in English. This is my phone. That is a window. I am brushing my teeth. It sounds silly, but it works. Celebrate small wins. If today you can say one sentence, tomorrow you'll say 2, then 5, then a full conversation. Remember, every fluent speaker once struggled too, even me. 3 years later, I got a job in an international hotel. During my interview, they said, "We are impressed by your English and your attitude." I smiled and thought of that bakery, that old notebook, that promise I made. Now, I speak to guests from all over the world. I guide them. I welcome them. I even teach basic Ukrainian phrases to some. Sometimes they ask, "Where did you learn English so well?" I laugh and say, "Mostly from YouTube and my bathroom mirror." But truly, I learned it from my heart, from my desire, from my never give up spirit. If I can do it, you can do it too. So, here's my challenge to you. Today, speak one English sentence, just one, out loud. Tomorrow, speak 2. Keep a speaking journal. Find a language partner. Record yourself. Use your phone not just for social media but for growth. Watch videos like this one daily, and most importantly, believe in yourself, because fluency is not a destination. It's a journey, a beautiful journey of progress, not perfection. You don't need to speak like a native. You need to speak like you, with honesty, with courage, with love. Years from now, you will thank yourself for starting today, and maybe one day you will be telling your story to the world, just like I am now. So don't stop. Don't wait. Don't be afraid. Take a deep breath and say out loud, "I can speak English fluently," because that's the first step to making it true. After that job at the hotel, everything started to change. Every day, I spoke English with guests, people from Canada, Brazil, Japan, and South Africa. Each conversation helped me grow stronger. I learned not just words, but cultures, accents, and feelings. One guest from Australia told me, "Elena, your English is beautiful. But what's more beautiful is your smile when you speak." That moment made me realize confidence is not about knowing every word. It's about how you make people feel when you speak. I started keeping a new journal, not just sentences, but small goals. That's when I learned about something powerful. Zemaret. Goals as specific, measurably achievable. Realistic time boundary wrote a SMART goal. In the next 30 days, I will learn 100 new English phrases and use them in real conversations. Every day, I added 3 new phrases, simple ones like, "Could you repeat that, please? That sounds interesting. Let me think for a second." I didn't just learn them, I used them. I spoke with guests, with my language partner, even with myself during coffee breaks. Some days I was tired, some days I made mistakes, but every day I showed up. That's the secret. Consistency over perfection. People often ask me, "Elena, what's the fastest way to learn to speak English fluently?" And I always say, the fastest way is the slow and steady way done daily, with love. One evening, my manager at the hotel gave me a surprise. "Elena," she said, "we have a training program in London. Only 2 people from our staff can attend. You've been chosen." I couldn't believe it. London, the heart of English. I was scared, but I said yes. On the flight, I kept repeating, "You belong here. You are ready." And when I reached London, something amazing happened. I wasn't afraid anymore. I could understand announcements at the airport. I asked for directions on the street. I checked into the hotel with confidence. I made friends in the program. Each time I spoke English in London, I felt like I was living the dream I once wrote in my old diary. On the final day of the program, our coach asked, "Who wants to give a short speech about their learning journey?" My heart beat fast. My hands felt cold, but I stood up and I told my story. From my small town in Ukraine, to that silent moment with the tourist, to the bakery, to the mirror practice, to the hotel job, and now to speaking in front of a group in London. When I finished, everyone clapped. Some people had tears in their eyes. One of them walked up to me and said, "Your story reminded me why I started learning English too." That day, I made another decision. I would not stop here. I wanted to help others, people like me, learn to speak English with confidence. So I started a YouTube channel. I called it Speak with Elena. I didn't have fancy lights or perfect videos, just my voice, my stories, and my lessons. I shared everything I learned: how to practice alone, how to think in English, how to stop translating in your head, how to grow confidence step by step, how to sound natural using real-life phrases. And slowly, people started watching. First 10 subscribers, then 100, then 1,000. One comment I received said, "I am from Vietnam. I used to be shy, but after watching your videos, I now speak English with my classmates." Thank you, Elena. I cried when I read that, because that was my dream, not just to speak but to help others speak too. Today, I teach students from all over the world. I have followers from countries I've never even been to. I see young girls and boys, parents and workers, all learning, all growing. And each time they ask me, "How can I become fluent like you?" I tell them this: fluency is not a gift. It is a result of daily effort, small wins, and big dreams. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be persistent. Every time you open your mouth to speak, you are getting better. Every time you fail and try again, you are building courage. And every time you say, I can do this, you are planting the seed of success. Let me leave you with a few steps I still follow every day. Speak out loud daily, even 5 minutes. Think in English. Describe your day to yourself. Watch one English video a day and repeat sentences. Record your voice and listen back. It helps you grow. Celebrate progress, not perfection. And finally, don't wait for the right time. The right time is now. If I could go from silence to fluency, so can you. Your journey starts today. Look in the mirror and say, I am learning English. I am speaking English. I am proud of myself, because you are not just learning a language, you are opening doors to the world. And one day you will not just speak English fluently, you will speak it with your heart. One morning, I woke up to hundreds of notifications on my phone. My latest video had gone viral, over 1 million views. The title was simple. I learned to speak English without leaving my country. Here's how. Thousands of comments filled my screen. I cried watching this. Thank you. You made me believe I can learn too. I feel like this is my story. I'm from Egypt and I've always been scared to speak, but not anymore. You speak from your soul, Elena. Please keep sharing. And I cried, sitting in my little apartment in Ukraine, not because of the views, but because my voice, my one silent, scared voice, was now a source of courage for others. That night, I sat down and whispered something to myself again. Your voice matters. Keep using it. I decided to make a free 30-day speaking challenge for everyone who felt shy like I once did. Each day, I gave one small task. Day 1, introduce yourself in English. Day 2, talk about your morning routine. Day 3, record 5 sentences and listen. Day 4, speak about your favorite food. Day 5, call a language partner and ask one question. Day 30, tell your story in English. People from over 60 countries joined. Some were students, some were mothers, some were grandfathers, and day by day, their videos came in. Nervous faces on day 1, smiling, confident voices on day 30. I watched every single one, and I cried again because I realized when one person speaks up, many others find their voice. One girl from Morocco sent me a message. She said, Elena, I live in a small village. No one around me speaks English. I always thought fluency was only for rich people or city people. But after your videos, I started practicing every night in my room. Now I speak with confidence in my online classes. My teacher asked where I learned. I said, from a girl on YouTube who taught me how to believe. That message stayed in my heart. Fluency, I now believe, is not only about learning a language, it's about unlocking your potential, because when you speak clearly, you feel heard. When you express ideas, you feel powerful. And when you use your voice to inspire others, you become unstoppable. Years passed. I was invited to speak at a language summit in Singapore. I stood on a big stage with a microphone in my hand, my face on the screen behind me, an audience of thousands in front. I took a deep breath and said, I'm Elena. I come from a small town where winters are cold and dreams often feel impossible. But today I stand here because I spoke one sentence out loud, then another, and I never stopped. The crowd stood up. They clapped, and I remembered again. It all started with one decision. To stop waiting. To stop being afraid. To speak even when I was shaking. Now I want to speak directly to you watching this or listening. You can speak English fluently, not because I say so, but because deep down, you already know it's possible. I want you to imagine this. A year from now, you're sitting in a coffee shop in another country. You order in English. You ask the barista how their day is. You join a conversation at another table. You help a tourist find their way. You laugh. You connect. You feel free. That's not a dream. That's a result of starting today. And just like I kept a journal, I want you to do one thing right now. Open your notes or take a notebook and write, "My English journey begins today. I am learning to speak. I will not give up. I will speak even if I'm afraid. I will help others one day. I will become fluent. I believe in myself." Read this every morning and every night. Speak it out loud. Make your voice your power. Because your accent is beautiful, your mistakes are lessons, and your voice deserves to be heard. Let English be more than just a language. Let it be your bridge to the world. Let it open doors you never thought you could walk through, just like it did for me. So now, here's how we finish. Take your phone, record one sentence in English. Say, "My name is your name, and I'm learning English with courage." And tomorrow, record another, and the next day, another. And if you fall behind, don't give up. Start again. Remember, fluency doesn't belong to native speakers. It belongs to the brave. It belongs to you, because you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be willing to begin, and today you have. Thank you for listening to my story. Now it's time to write your own, and one day when you tell it, I'll be listening, and I'll be clapping for you, because I know you can speak English fluently, and the world is waiting to hear your voice. Sometime later, I returned to my hometown in Ukraine. The bakery where I used to work was still there. The streets were the same. The people still spoke softly, humbly, in Ukrainian, but I had changed. I walked into the bakery with quiet footsteps. The same woman who trained me years ago was behind the counter. She smiled wide when she saw me. "Elena," she gasped, "is it really you?" I nodded and said in English, "It's me." She laughed. "Still practicing that English?" I smiled back and said, "Not just practicing, teaching now, inspiring others, speaking freely, living dreams." She shook her head in disbelief. All this, from this little town, and I told her something that I now tell everyone. It doesn't matter where you come from. What matters is where you're willing to go. I sat on the same bench outside the bakery where I once cried after failing to help a tourist. But this time, I wasn't crying from shame. I was crying from pride. Pride in the girl who didn't give up. Pride in the woman who kept going. Pride in the mission that was now helping thousands. Later that evening, I opened my old journal, the first page still. Read, "I will learn to speak English. I don't care how long it takes. I will not give up." Underneath it, I wrote something new. "You did it," and beneath that, "Now help someone else do it too." So today, that someone is you. You who feel nervous. You who feel stuck. You who think it's too late. You who believe fluency is for others, not for you. I want you to listen to me, not as a teacher, not as a YouTuber, but as a friend, a girl From a small cold town with a warm big dream, you are not behind. You are just at the beginning, and beginnings are beautiful because they mean you still have time, you still have power, you still have the ability to surprise yourself. So don't wait, not until next week, not until next month, not until you feel ready. Start today, start with one word, then two, then five, then a full sentence. Don't worry about sounding perfect. Worry about never starting. Perfection is not the goal, progress is. If you need someone to practice with, look in the mirror. If you need encouragement, watch this video again. If you need a reason, remember this. The world needs your voice, not your silent version, not your shy version, but the brave, growing, learning version of you, the version who says, I am not afraid anymore. I will speak even if my voice shakes. I will speak even if no one listens at first. I will speak because I believe I can. And you know what? One day, someone will hear you speak. They'll ask, how did you become so fluent? And you'll smile and say, I started by saying just one sentence, and I never stopped. That is the power of your story. That is the beginning of your legacy. So let's say it together wherever you are, out loud, in your room, in your heart. I can speak English fluently. I will speak with courage. I will speak with love. I will speak and I will be heard, because I believe in you, and soon you will too. This is Elena. This is my story. Now it's your turn. Let's begin. Months passed after my return home. I kept sharing my journey on YouTube. I kept answering messages from people across the world, from villages in Bangladesh, from schools in Colombia, from young mothers in Kenya, from teenagers in Indonesia, all writing to say, because of you, I spoke today. Because of your story, I started my own. One day, I received a message that stopped my heart. It was from a girl named Lena from Syria. She wrote, Elena, my town is small and we don't have good internet. I save your videos and watch them offline. I practice in secret because people around me laugh when I try to speak English. But when I see you, I believe I can rise. I believe I can grow. I stared at that message for a long time. I thought about how I used to whisper English to myself in my room, afraid someone would hear. I thought about all the people hiding their dreams because the world told them they weren't good enough. And then I recorded a message just for Lena. I said, let them laugh. One day, they will listen. One day, they will ask how you did it. One day, your voice will echo in places their eyes have never seen. Keep going, Lena. Keep going, all of you. And that message is now also for you, because I know you've had moments where you felt like giving up. I know you've opened your mouth to speak English and closed it again. I know you've thought, maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe this isn't for me. But let me remind you of a truth bigger than fear. The people who win are not always the smartest. They are the ones who keep trying, the ones who speak badly, then better, the ones who fail, and then get back up, the ones who begin again every time they fall. You don't need to speak fast. You don't need a perfect accent. You don't need to sound like anyone else. You just need to start and not stop. That's the only secret. That's how I became fluent. That's how Lena will become fluent. That's how you will too. And one day, when you are confident and your words flow like music, and someone says, Wow, you speak English so well. Don't just smile, tell them the truth. I started scared. I started slow. I started small. But I started, and maybe, just maybe, your story will become someone else's reason to believe, like mine was for you, like yours will be for the next dreamer, because this isn't just about language, this is about unlocking your life. English is not just grammar, it's a bridge, a door, a voice, and that voice is yours. So take a deep breath, close your eyes, and say one last sentence with me. I am not afraid to speak anymore. Say it again. I am not afraid to speak anymore, and the world is listening now because you finally are. Thank you for letting me tell you my story, but now go write yours, and when you do, speak it loud, speak it proud, and speak it in English. A year later, I was invited to speak at a school in Poland. It was a small classroom with sunlight coming through the windows and about 20 young students sitting quietly, notebooks in hand. Their eyes were full of questions, just like mine had been once. I asked the teacher, "Do they speak English?" She smiled. "Some are shy, some have tried, but they think it's too hard." I looked at those children and remembered myself sitting in a cold classroom, staring at black and white grammar pages, feeling too small for a big world. So I did not begin with a lesson. I began with a question. Who here is afraid to speak English? Almost every hand went up. I nodded and smiled. Good, you're not alone. I was afraid too, and then I told them my story, not the version on YouTube, not the edited one, the real one, how I whispered into mirrors, how I cried behind bakery counters, how I repeated the same sentence 20 times until my voice stopped shaking, how I still sometimes mess up but I speak anyway. By the end of my story, not one student was sitting still. Some were leaning forward, some had teary eyes, and one boy, just 12 years old, stood up and said in soft English, "I want to try too." So he did. He spoke one sentence, then another, and his classmates clapped not because he was perfect, but because he was brave. That boy reminded me. This is why I started, not just to learn English for myself, but to show others they can too. After the class, a little girl gave me a drawing. It was of me, holding a microphone, with hearts around me. On the top, she had written, "Elena, you speak like sunshine." I held that drawing in my hand for a long time because I realized something beautiful. Fluency is not just when your grammar is right, not just when your accent is clear, not just when you can tell a story from beginning to end. Fluency is when your words carry light, and that's what I want for you, not just to speak English fluently, but to speak in a way that brings people closer. To speak in a way that heals and connects and uplifts. To speak in a way that says, "I believe in myself, and I believe in you." So wherever you are, whether you're just starting or whether you've been trying for years, remember this. You have something worth saying. You don't need perfect English to say it. You just need a brave heart, a little time each day, and the decision to never stop. That's it. That's the secret. That's the story. That's your story just waiting to be told. And when the world hears it, they won't remember every word you said, but they will remember how your voice made them feel. So go now, speak your sentence, start your journey. Be someone's sunshine, because your English voice is not just a language, it's a light, and it's finally time to shine.